1326. Normally with the show, I would start out about, trivia about the day. Is it International Cupcake Day? Some sort of thing like that. I'm not going to do that today. I have three important stories to talk about today. And I'll probably have some sub tangents, of course, that we travel into. But good morning. It's good to have you on the show today. It's good to be here. Is something wrong? What's going on with my light back there? I don't know. I think I might have unplugged my light. Who knows? That can't be. That can't be. I have so many. Oh, yeah, we're unplugged somewhere. Not sure what happened. There we go. What's going on with this one? We got all these lights here. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Okay, now we're live. See, what's happening is I'm moving the transition. The studio transition is almost complete. The internet was successfully transitioned. Actually streaming on that internet connection on TikTok right now. Anyways, let's get into it. Three important stories today on the Ignition News. If you're just joining us on the Ignition News, what we'd like to do is give you some curated information without the amygdala hijack, give you what I think you need to know, but also give you real practical steps on what you can do to push back to save your democracy. And we also like to build community. We're part of the Rebel Radio Network. Our goal in Rebel Radio is to build 1,000 leaders in 1,000 different communities to push back against this growing tide of Christian nationalist fascism. And, we're actually doing really well with that. We've got a growing, burgeoning community. We are streaming live on YouTube, Substack, Spotify, Instagram, and of course, TikTok while we can and when we can. So let's get into the main stories today. I do want to start with a very important reminder, and that is actually coming out of Budapest. It's coming out of Hungary. Something pretty remarkable happened this weekend. You've probably already seen this already. Viktor Orban, the 16-year authoritarian architect of illiberal democracy in Hungary, of course, that the president just loves, a man that J.D. Vance went literally to campaign for. We're talking about American election interference in Hungary, pretty wildly. And Viktor Orban just got absolutely decimated in the election. It was an incredible victory for democracy. The Tisza party pulled 53% of the vote. Orban only got 38% of the vote. This was among considerable concern, of course, that Orban would attempt to interfere with the election. 3.3 million voters voted for Peter Magyar. That is the highest vote total of any party ever in the history of Hungary. There are estimates that there was over 80% participation in the elections. Orban did concede, which proves that as much as I detest Viktor Orban. He's a cruel man. He's done cruel things. He's hurt a lot of people in Hungary. He is a bigger man than our president, who would never concede any kind of defeat. So it just goes to show you that even a dictator like Viktor Orban, who has prevailed absolute cruelty over his country, at the end of the day has more integrity. Of course, this is why this matters. Orban was the actual template. The far-right extreme Christian nationalists were using Orban and his proof of concepts that you could hollow out a democracy, that you could gut the press, that you could silence dissent. Obviously backed by Russia and, of course, our president. Interesting, who are allies now, yes? This was the model that the president studied when he rose to power. Remember, Viktor Orban has been in power for 16 years. And the people of Hungary have persisted throughout that 16 years, not dissimilar to what we are experiencing, having your democracy gutted, corporate interests over the people's interests, the press absolutely destroyed, locking up political opponents, deportations, murders, state-sponsored violence, 16 years of this. And the people of Hungary finally amassed together, they got together, and they removed that. So when these cynical people tell you, when they tell you that you have no power, when they tell you you cannot vote yourself rights, I have to look at Hungary. Now, of course, as I'll talk about shortly, there are bigger challenges to our democracy than just elections. There's a lot of conversation happening there, even in America, don't get me wrong, we cannot vote ourselves out of the oligarchs controlling the American democracy right now. No election is going to stop that. That's going to take real work. We're going to actually have to get our hands in that work. But there was real question about whether Orban was going to be successful in staving off a free and fair elections. There were actual, real, fair, and valid questions about whether Viktor Orban would concede, and he did, whether he would win, and he did not, and whether the people of Hungary would take to the streets. And what I would tell you about the victory that we saw out of Hungary is very simple. The longer you stay in Christian nationalist fascism or fascism of any kind, the harder it becomes to voice your opinion against that fascism. 16 years is a very long time. A very long time. A man who yielded almost unforgettable, unimaginable power over his people. What does it mean then when someone is a dictator and you as a citizen say, I am not going to vote for you? Well, let me be very clear. It means you are at risk. And so don't just look at this as an election. It is not just an election. It is people going to the streets in spite of state violence, in spite of all the things I just talked about, in spite of being political prisoners, which is beginning to happen here in the United States, obviously. All of those people, and a lot of the people that voted for Orban did not vote for Orban because they wanted Orban. They voted for Orban because they were afraid to not vote for him, because they were afraid to be labeled as opposition, because a dictator makes opposition illegal. And what you're going to see happen out of Hungary in the next few years, I believe, you're going to see the burgeoning growth of the weed of democracy, the weed of resistance. As more people realize that people hunger freedom, that they desire for freedom, more and more freedom will grow. That's the problem with freedom. That's why dictatorship, tyranny is constant effort. I'm sure you've heard this quote before. It takes constant effort to maintain control over a populace. Freedom is our natural state. Freedom is what we desire. All rights. We fight for all rights for everyone. When you concede the rights of anyone, you concede the rights of everyone. When you concede the rights of freedom, you concede the rights of freedom for everyone. Even on TikTok here, I can see that the tools, the machinery, the bot networks, the disinformation, they're working overtime right now. The allies of MAGA, they have to be freaking out right now. And so you see the disinformation campaign happening already. Disinformation about the spread and freedom of democracy. Why? I ask you the question, why are people afraid of that? Why might someone be afraid of that? And the answer is simple. Storied groups of power are afraid of the power of the collective. Look at what's happening all over this country right now. It is not politicians standing up to this administration. It is not the police. The police are absolutely loving this. It is not the courts. The courts have failed us. Don't take small, little, tiny wins in court as some kind of empiric sign of victory. The courts are failing. The courts have failed us. It is feet on the street. It is the only thing preventing and saving the freedoms that we have left. It is feet on the street. It is the resistance of the populace, in whatever form that is right now. What happened with Viktor Orban is a sign. You cannot take away the freedom of the populace. We will push back. Welcome to the Ignition News, everybody. It's great to have you on the show today. We're here live streaming the show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but you do want to get all the episodes on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I do want to just briefly mention and just say thank you. I actually don't have one of those, moderator Cat. I don't know if you can get me one or not. I just want to say thank you. Over the last week, a lot of you have contributed to helping out my son to get his very own 3D printer. He is selling these whistles on the store, and we shipped out the first 2 of those orders. So Michelle and Tam, your whistles are on the way. For everybody that contributed a little extra, we did throw in a very special extra surprise for you. We're all at that goal. So if you do want to support helping my son get his own 3D printer, what he's doing with positive community entrepreneurship is really, really important. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who helped with that. You can click the link in the bio and get yourself a custom 3D printed safety whistle. Design 3.0, I have to say, is pretty badass. We're almost there. One more big push and we'll be there. So thanks to everyone who participated, and we are shipping out those whistles to you. I'm very proud of my son for doing that. Let's get into the next story. I want to talk about Iran because something actually came out. All the chaos that's happening right now, I think people might have missed something that came out. Okay. Benjamin Netanyahu just said the quiet part out loud. And the fact that this isn't the lead story is kind of weird. I mean, there's so many things that could be the lead story. But Benjamin Netanyahu was having a meeting with his cabinet ministers in Tel Aviv, and the Israeli prime minister said that J.D. Vance had called him from his plane on the way back from Islamabad. Netanyahu said this: "He reported to me in detail, as this administration does every day, about the development of negotiations." One more time, let me repeat to you what Benjamin Netanyahu just said. He reported to me in detail. He reported to me in detail. Benjamin Netanyahu said, he reported to me in detail, as this administration does every day, the development of the negotiations. Every day. Does your government, the United States of America, address your fucking needs every day? Does someone in the government work for you every day? Is someone working on your streets, the trash, the mail? Is someone fixing problems for you every day? Can you even get a hold of someone in your city government? Does your congressperson even call you back? Or do you just get a fucking template email from them? Thank you for your concerns. We value your opinion, as of course you know. Every day, the president has to call Benjamin Netanyahu. Think about that for a second. The Trump administration is literally, I mean, you can't make this shit up. Reporting to Benjamin Netanyahu like this is an org chart. Like Benjamin Netanyahu is the supervisor at the night shift of the In-N-Out. J.D. Vance is reporting to Benjamin Netanyahu, I guess. This is the same war where, according to the New York Times, Netanyahu flew to the White House in mid-February. Everyone's missing the obvious connection here. Apparently delivered an hour-long presentation telling Trump that Iran was ripe for regime change. They literally told the president, if you strike now, we've got everything ready to go. There's going to be mass uprisings on the street. Of course, the CIA told the president that this idea of regime change, if you strike out the leadership, that there would be mass movement in the street. That was a farce. Our own government said this is what Israel does. They hype us up all the time. They do this all the time. This is their modus operandi. J.D. Vance is publicly distancing himself from this. There's been stories about J.D. Vance meeting with the president, telling him not to go to war. J.D. Vance is the person that leaked that. J.D. Vance is the person that leaked that. We're 6 weeks into a war. Hundreds of civilians have been killed. We don't even actually know how many Americans have been killed or seriously injured. And now, of course, we are suffering so bad militarily that they're having to make up science fiction propaganda about this conflict. This ghost murmur, have you heard about this? There was this purported story. I got to open a Spindrift. For this one. There was this purported story that the United States military had used some type of fancy quantum technology. Doesn't that sound nice? Quantum technology. Like, remember that show Quantum Leap? That was a great show. That was one of my favorite shows. Friday nights. It was on Friday nights. Make sure, am I right? I'm pretty sure that show was on Friday nights. Oh my God, I got to look this up now. I can't miss this. Quantum Leap. You know, now that I mentioned Quantum Leap, they're going to make this into a movie. All right, all right. Dr. Sam Beckett finds himself trapped in time. Please tell me you remember Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap. What night did it air? Come on. Okay. Wednesday and Friday nights. Wednesday and Friday nights. The final episodes aired on Tuesday. That means it didn't have a it didn't have a good ending. I always remember that show fondly, okay? Scott Bakula. Please tell me. Please tell me he's not manga. Someone please tell me that's not the case. Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. Quantum Leap, an American science fiction series created by Donald Belisario that aired on NBC for five seasons. I'm dating myself. March 26, 1989 to May 5th, 1993. The series stars Scott Bakula as Dr. Sam Beckett, a physicist who believes he invented a way to travel through time, voluntarily subjects himself to an experiment he believes will prove the validity of his theories. Sam leaps into the fluid space-time and apparently disappears forever. However, it is soon revealed that Beckett's consciousness is alive and able to transfer and inhabit bodies of other people that exist in his timeline. The artificially intelligent computer he created, called Ziggy, operates with the assumption that in order to return home, Sam must change the events in the past in order to correct the future of events. There you go. Quantum Leap. It was a great show, but obviously fiction because you can tell it's fiction. So when the military leaks this story that apparently we found the pilot of this downed plane, F-15, or sorry, the weapons systems officer, I think it was called, the WSO. So apparently the story was that they used quantum technology. This is literally, they stole the script from Quantum Leap. Do you know? I just proved it. They stole the script from Quantum Leap from 1989 or whatever that was. They stole the script from Scott Bakula. Scott Bakula, please. There is no evidence that actor Scott Bakula is associated with MAGA. Oh, wonderful. That's amazing. Okay. What a good thing. Wow. Okay. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, so they purported to have this technology called Ghost Murmur that used quantum, like diamond. You can't even make this shit up. Like, it used like diamonds and ions and quantum technology, and it could go out and it could sense the magnetic pulse of this pilot's heartbeat that they had identified as sort of like a fingerprint of the pilot's heartbeat. And they located the pilot from like 40 miles away with this quantum technology in a cave. And they used AI to filter out the surrounding noise and magnetic radiation. And boom, bada bing, bada boom, Scott Bakula goes in a cave, saves the pilot. Quantum Leap. That is your government right now. They actually believed that people would believe this. And a lot of people actually believed this. That is literally propaganda, people. It's propaganda. It's Baghdad Bob, science fiction, Scott Bakula, Quantum Leap, found the pilot in the cave. Scott Bakula is not associated with MAGA, just apparently. Quantum Leap. They stole Quantum Leap and they said that it was military technology. Okay? They did this, of course. Why? Why would they do this? Well, the answer is simple. Because we're getting the Gerald Ford $13.1 billion aircraft carrier, the most advanced aircraft carrier ever made. It had to tuck and tail and leave. The world's most expensive aircraft carrier had to tuck and tail and haul out of the region. So we have a $13 billion battleship. What is the purpose of it? What is the reason for it? Allegedly, it had a laundry fire, a laundry room fire. Now, I have heard, as I've discussed before, that if the laundry room fire is true, someone has informed me, although I haven't proven this. I told you it was going to be a lot of ranting today, so welcome. The laundry fire, if that's true, someone has told me that was because Pete Hegseth has ordered starch to be used on the military uniforms and ships. Or sorry, somebody's typing. I got distracted. um, starch to be used on the uniforms and sheets. Well, these new ships, they're not designed to have starch going through the ventilation system like a cruise ship or some shit like this. And so that's what someone has told me is their theory. Of course, I want to be very clear to avoid this warning on TikTok that that is just a theory I've heard. But the other theory that people are saying is that the Gerald Ford, a $13.1 billion aircraft, was potentially involved in some type of direct strike. Aside from that, can we just talk about the fact that we spent $13 billion on a boat and it can't even do anything in a military conflict? It had to turn around and leave. It had to leave. $13 billion is 15 years of the police budget of Las Vegas, Nevada. It's actually 22 years of the police budget of Nevada. What has happened is we have proven that the military industrial complex is a fraud. We're running out of missiles. They don't work. We have to shoot $3, $4, $5 million at a $20,000 drone. And because this all is failing so spectacularly, three things. Number one, they have to lie. And they have to say, well, Scott Bakula is here. We've resurrected Scott Bakula. He is here now. He quantum leaped through time. He came, he used his AI computer Ziggy. Okay. Did you not watch the show? He used Ziggy to find the pilot in the mountain. Okay. So we are still the best military in the world, in case you didn't notice. On top of the battleships, we also have Scott Bakula. So in case anyone wasn't already clear that we are winning, we have Scott Bakula. Why don't you just resign now? JD Vance is just there for show, folks. The real person running the show, Dr. Sam Beckett, Quantum Leap. Okay. Dr. Sam Beckett is our military supremacy. Someone over on Instagram says, how do you feel about Alex Perzelinsky running in Nevada? I said his name wrong. I'm sorry. I think he's great. I think you should vote for him and you should knock doors for him. He's awesome. $13.1 billion. I got there, by the way, because apparently that money that our government is spending is being spent in order to report to Benjamin Netanyahu. He actually says it out loud now. It's so comical. He's just saying it out loud. Yeah, the president reports to me every day. As I don't worry, everything's on schedule. He's calling me every day. Yeah, everything's fine. Don't worry about the war ending. The president calls me. JD Vance reported to me in detail. I had to go to the ER for a rabies shot because I was delivering something to someone's house and a bat attacked me. The bill for that is like $35,000. Mr. Netanyahu? I heard you have free healthcare in Israel. I heard you have universal healthcare. What is the standard treatment protocol in the state of Israel if I'm attacked by a bat? Is that covered? I need to be careful. I'm going to get clipped. So let's move on. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ignition News. It's good to be back live. We are live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do record the show. It's up every day on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So when you're not, driving around, when you are driving around town, trying to avoid the zombies of the increasing number of people in this community who are losing their houses because they can't afford rent, who are pushed into the street because they can't afford healthcare, and who, because they can't afford medicine, eventually find themselves addicted to fentanyl, and who are, and this is, by the way, I understand that this sounds like I'm joking, but this is an actual reality. I saw this literally yesterday, who are now walking around the street bent over in that fentanyl slump. And you notice that this is happening more and in areas of your community that you have not seen it before because they can't get housing, healthcare, food. And to escape the insanity of this world, the pain, the suffering, and the misery, there's always apparently fentanyl somewhere. And we have literal zombies walking around the streets of this country right now. I don't mean to make light of that at all. That is not what is happening right now. I say that because every day we're spending $1 billion a day in an unauthorized war. And now the prime minister of Israel just literally said, the president reports to me every day. And I'm tired of all the suffering. I'm tired of the struggle. I can't, it's beyond, it's strange credulity. I can't ever say that right. I want to get on to the last story because it's actually the most important story of all. The president of the United States. We're in a war right now. But you wouldn't know that we were at war with Iran because the president is apparently at war rhetorically with the Pope. The Pope, Pope Leo, the president. First, he attacks the Pope on social media. In any functioning democracy, that kind of behavior, regardless of your faith, would be grounds for removal from office. 330-word tirade on his platform, the president called Pope Leo XIV, the first American pope in history, weak on crime, terrible on foreign policy, and said he preferred the Pope's brother, Louis, because Louis is, in his words, all MAGA. The president actually said that in writing. He accused Pope Leo of thinking it is okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon, which is not at all what the Pope said. Of course, the Pope had condemned the president's threat to wipe out an entire civilization, lest you forget that was less than a week ago. The Pope said God does not bless any conflict and that Jesus does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war. On Palm Sunday, he told worshipers the God of the gospel rejects war entirely. And he said then the Pope did what your congressperson says. He says, call your elected officials. Remember when your Congress tells you, like your congressional person says, you should call your elected officials. You're my elected official. Why are you telling me to call my elected officials? Do something. The president lost his mind. The Pope has said he will not be coming to America while Trump is president. He is not coming to the 250th celebration of America's birthday. The first American Pope is not going to be here for the 250th anniversary. And of course, the other thing that the president did, I actually have it up here on TikTok for you. I rarely acknowledge the crazy shit that he does because personally, I just want you to know, I think that as much air and energy as he sucks from the environment, as much as he dominates the news headlines, I actually don't think historically that he personally, I think he will be historically revered quite poorly. So I try to remember that. I try not to use his name in the broadcast because I think I just don't need to. But he posts this AI generated image of himself as Jesus Christ, wearing robes, touching someone's head in a hospital bed. The president of the United States posted a picture of himself as Jesus Christ. And then he dirty deleted it, by the way. He dirty deleted it. He lied then. He lied and said that he thought it was him as a doctor. He actually said that. Oh, I thought that was me. I thought it was me as a doctor. I've talked about my religious journey a lot on the show. I don't need to get into that in too much detail on the show today. It's very personal for everybody. What I can tell you is, as I've been learning about Christian nationalism, as I talk to our community about Christian nationalism, I have spent a considerable amount of time studying all religions. I've studied Christianity, specifically evangelical Christianity, Catholicism. Obviously, I was raised as a Catholic. I have studied Islam. I've also studied Judaism. And I did that because I wanted to understand what's happening to this country right now. And what I have learned is unequivocal. Whatever God you believe in, they do not teach violence. They do not teach Jesus Christ would not say the kinds of things that these people say about trans people. Jesus Christ would not do the things these people are doing to immigrants. But ignoring that, what I have learned through my research is how deeply connected literally billions of people are to their religion. Everyone, I think, has some story, whether it's religion or personal faith in yourself and understanding, even if you think it's just lights out when we leave this place. Everyone has had a moment of connection to the universe. If you just think it's lights out, by the way, like, no judgment, but certainly you can acknowledge just the fact that we have managed to become like living, breathing things on this floating bacteria rock circling around the sun, traveling around this galaxy. Like, that's a powerful, powerful thing. And so, whether that's represented as a God to you, or as science to you, or the universe, or energy, spirituality, whatever that is, it is serious. And for the president of the United States to say and put a picture of himself as Jesus Christ is blasphemous. It's disrespectful not only to Catholicism, it is disrespectful to every religion on the planet. It's not a meme, it's not a joke, it's not funny, it's disgusting. It's very serious. This is a 79-year-old man. You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to believe you can believe whatever you want to believe, but surely you've got more sense in you than to be so cruel to billions of people who believe what they believe. Missions of faith, spirituality, love, compassion, healing, growth, compassion, healing the sick, taking care of the poor, building your community, helping people. But even his own supporters, this was he dirty deleted the post. It takes people in this country looking at something like that and saying what I said today, which is, what the fuck? And then it takes us, here's the learn part, by the way, of the show as we wrap it up. It takes people like you and me going out to our communities, to our elected officials, and holding them accountable now. This is unacceptable. Everyone, someone in Instagram asked me about someone running for office in our community. Every elected official, every CEO, everyone is accountable for this. Do you want to go through 16 years of this before finally people have had enough and they say, I can't do this anymore? And in spite of violence and danger, they go to the polls to push out the fascists? We don't have to do that. We have transferred our own movement in less than a year from, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I saw what was happening on the inauguration day. That was a frightening day to see what was happening in this country. But we have transferred that fright and that fear into actual tangible power that you can feel. And we're starting to push back. And we're building community. We're connecting with people. There are people all over this country. They see something like what happened in that Kimberly Clark warehouse. And obviously my lawyer has to say, on the Ignition News, we do not support or condone any kinds of acts of political violence. So without even talking about that, what people see is they do feel this sort of sense of like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And that collective power is not nothing. And we're building on it. We're growing it. We're getting stronger every single day. Don't be so cynical as to believe that you can't have great things, that you can't have a great government, that you can't control your destiny. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's going to take a considerable amount of effort. But this is not who we are. This is not who we are. What the fuck? We are not this thing. Even the most cynical of people, you can't justify it. You cannot justify a grown man pretending to be Jesus Christ. What would your family do if your grandpa was constantly posting pictures of himself on Facebook as Jesus Christ? What would your family do? Oh, grandpa, he's so funny. No, you would not do that. You would not do that. And it is absurd that we as a country are accepting this. So every elected official, you need to have a long and strong memory for these weak little men who just sat there. Oh, he's so funny. You know, he's just joking. It's funny. It's not funny. It's disgusting. It's disgusting for every person who puts their head down at night and who bends and prays. It is disgusting for them. You don't have to believe what they believe. You don't have to believe what I believe, but you do have to believe that enough is enough. If you're not willing to draw a line in the sand, then you don't have any moral conviction. Scott Bakula is not going to quantum leap into your body and get you up and wake you up, okay? He's not going to quantum leap from the cave in Iran and come and save you and make you do the right things. You have to do the right things, and you have to do it now. Don't hide behind this. If someone, I'm not saying go out and don't go talk to the person at the grocery store about the Jesus tweet. That's fine. But if someone talks about it with you, you need to hold the line. Call it out. That's disgusting. Why aren't you saying something? That's exactly what I'd say. That's disgusting. Why aren't you saying something? How can you support this? It's disgusting. No. Why I don't care if you voted for this man. I don't care if you're quote unquote MAGA. That's disgusting. What he did is wrong. And you and if you don't think so, then guess what? I'm not talking to you anymore. Go be alone with your people who think that apparently it's okay for grandpa to be posting Jesus pictures of himself. But that's not me. So you make your choice. But that's not it. That's not all that you do. You transfer that energy to the next thing. You transfer it to your city hall. When someone says, oh, we're going to put up this data center, whether you like it or not. Cool. We will be here every Friday protesting. We will be here every Friday filling up the room. We're not going anywhere. The collective energy is contagious. It's infectious. It's like a weed. It's like a weed. It's great to be back live, everybody. I missed you. We'll be back live on Wednesday. The shows are recorded, uploaded to Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So it's important that you do go follow us there. Please remember to, what do I say? Follow us on those platforms. Got some big stories coming out of Las Vegas, out of Nevada. Got some big things to tell you about. But for today, whether it's the Pope, whether it is hopeful people in Hungary, whether it is you doing something nice for your neighbor, the thing that's becoming more and more clear every single day is the visibility between the darkness in these times and the light in these times. And if no one's told you today, let me be the one to tell you thank you for being in the light. Thank you for being in the sunshine. And when it is not sunshine outside, thank you for casting the light for your neighbors and your friends. Thank you for holding the umbrella. Thank you for opening the door. Thank you for pushing back. Thank you for saving your, thank you for all of those things. I have not forgotten the impact that we have made on our communities, and I am deeply appreciative of that. That is the show today, everybody. Have a great Monday. We'll see you back live on Wednesday. Go download that show on Tuesday.